Alright, so today we're going to look at the vertebrates in the animal kingdom. These, remember, are the organisms that have backbones. They all belong to the phylum Chordata, and what that relates to is chordate. Chordate means vertebral column or backbone. Alright. All these organisms have a nodal cord, which develops into vertebrae that protects your spinal cord that runs down the center of the backbone. They have an internal skeleton, allows them to grow without molting. Remember that molting is the shedding of that exoskeleton in order to grow and get bigger. Made of fish and tetrapods. Tetra means four, pod feet, four legs. So these are land-bearing animals. We've evolved over time to be able to use two instead of four legs. Body temperature determines a lot here. We have endothermic and ectothermic. Endothermic is a warm-blooded animal. Heat comes from inside their body. And an ectothermic is a cold-blooded animal, and that's where they get their heat from the environment. Okay? Environmental temperature equals body temperature. Two ways they reproduce. We have viviparous and oviparous. Viviparous means that animals give birth to live young. This is just like mammals and humans. Oviparous means they lay eggs, such as turtles, things like that that lay eggs. First phylum we're going to look at is Agnatha. The name means jawless fish. They have an endoskeleton. It's made of cartilage, not bone, cartilage. Body temperature is ectothermic. That means they are cold-blooded. They have two-chambered heart, so we have a little bit more evolved heart, not quite to where we are with a four-chambered, but two-chambered heart. External fertilization means they lay eggs, and the male has to come and fertilize the eggs. They breathe through gills, which generally means they're going to live underwater. No claws. They do have a tail, and adaptation is no paired fins. So paired fins would be like a fish having one fin on each side to swim, one fin on top, one on bottom for maneuvering. These don't have pairs. They just have random. Example, hagfish or a lamprey. This is a lamprey. This down here is a hagfish. Alright, the second group are chondrichthyes. These are cartilaginous fish, like this shark here. He does not have bones. The only bones per se he has in his body are his teeth. Everything else down through his backbone and all is all made of cartilage. That's that endoskeleton of cartilage. They are ectothermic. They're cold-blooded, two-chambered heart. Fertilization. Most of them are external, except for sharks are internal, which means they have to actually mate with male and female. They give birth both oviparous and the other one, the eggs or live birth, depending on the organism. So they have both. Respiration, gills. Once again, no claws. Tail is heterocercal, which means that it has a top and a bottom fin. You have that fin that goes down all the way around, so it's the same on top and bottom. Adaptations, they have a jaw, which contain teeth. That is one of their adaptations. And our example here, shark, rays, and skates. Skates kind of resemble rays, but they're smaller and different shapes, smaller, very thin. Alright, the next one, Osteichthyes. These are bony fish. So now we're getting into animals that have bones, not just cartilage. They're still ectothermic for the most part. They have that two-chambered heart. Fertilization, same as with the last phyla. Some of them do internal, some of them do external, which means some of them lay eggs, some of them give live birth. Most of them are egg layers. except we do have some that are live birth. All right. Breathe through gills. The skin is the scales. They have scales now. No jaw, or excuse me, no claws, and the tail is mostly homocircle, which means you see this tail is very straight. It's not like a shark that has that fin that comes up and back and down and back. This one's very straight. All right, notice this one's very straight. Okay. Example, tuna, sunfish, bass, carp. There are tons of examples that fit into this category of bony fish. All right, next are amphibians, amphibia. Amphi means of both kinds, and bio means life. Here's where we get the bio. Here's amphibia. So pretty much all kinds. All right. They do have bone and cartilage in their endoskeleton. They are ectothermic, which means cold-blooded. We're getting more evolved. We have a 3-chambered heart now. All of these have external fertilization, which means they lay eggs. All right. Frogs lay eggs, salamanders lay eggs, snakes lay eggs. All right. Some of these will have breathe through gills, some through lungs, some through both, some even through their skin. Okay, so we have a very wide variety of organisms in this group. All right. Do have a tail. However, the tail is only present in the young. When they get to be an adult, they lose their tail, all right, for the most part. Examples, we have our salamander up here. We got frogs. We got toads. All right. Here's some more different types of lizards. A bunch of different organisms in this group as well. All right. Next one, reptilia, all right, which of course means reptiles. Same thing, bone and cartilage make up their skeleton. Ectothermic, they are cold-blooded. 3-chambered heart for most of these guys, but when you look at the crocodile and the gators, you're looking at a 4-chambered heart. Okay. Internal fertilization, which means they will be, mate with a male and female. However, that happens for most of these. They still lay eggs. Okay, the eggs they're fertilized inside the mother and then laid and incubated outside. All right. Some can give live birth. All right. Not all. Most of these are oviparous. Excuse me. They do breathe through lungs, which means they are land-bearing. Their skin is their scale. They do have claws. A lot of them do. Not all. This rattlesnake right here does not have claws, but most of these do have claws. Have a tail. Most all of them have a tail. All right. Adaptations. Some of them have adaptations of salt glands, which means they can live in salt water or on land, both ways. Necks have evolved here for certain food sources. All right. And then, of course, our examples, I mentioned some. I mentioned alligators. You got some of your lizards here, your larger lizards, snakes, turtles. Aves. Phyla aves means bird. These are our birds. Now, birds, while they do have bones, they have hollow bones. They have to have those hollow bones. Those hollow bones are what allow them to fly and have the weight is different of those bones, and also that hollow makes them more buoyant so they can float on air. All right, this is the first group we have that's endothermic, warm-blooded, 4-chambered heart, getting more evolved here. They do lay eggs. No birds give live birth. They are all eggs, and they nest and incubate their eggs. They breathe through lungs. Their skin, it depends on the bird. It could be feathers. It could be, on their feet. Some of them have scales on their feet. Those are used, that is their skin. Right? Have claws, have a tail. Salt glands here, not so much to live in salt environment, but in order to produce salt, or to use up salt or get rid of salt. All right. Concentrated urea, and of course, the obvious, they have wings. Okay. We have a penguin there, a pelican, seagull, ostrich, hummingbird. The list goes on and on. Many different types of birds. Alright, sorry, the picture's kind of skewed there. Last one is mammalia. And this is a very broad category. A lot of organisms here. You know, that word, of course, means mammals. We're talking about us. We have cartilage and bone in our skeleton. We are endothermic. Excuse me. We are endothermic, which means warm-blooded. Excuse me. We have that four-chambered, double-looped heart. That's the most evolved heart of all organisms. Fertilization is internal, which means you have to have a mate to reproduce. Most are viviparous, which means they give birth to live young. There are a few that are, oviparous, which, eggs. Marsupials give birth to large youngs, but they're not live young, but they are not fully developed. They continue developed inside the mother's womb. If you think marsupial, you think a kangaroo. This little Joey here, that's a baby kangaroo. He lives inside this pouch, then that's the womb, until he is fully developed, and then he can get out. All right. Monotremes, these are our oviparous mammals that lay eggs. Only a few. Okay, we got the platypus, all right, and the echidnas. So those are not very popular. We don't talk about those a lot, but the platypus is pretty. We all know what a platypus is. We've all seen SpongeBob and Perry the Platypus and different cartoons and shows that represent platypus. They breathe through lungs. Integumentary system, what they have covering, they mostly, we have skin, but we have hair that covers. It's part of our integumentary system, and whiskers. Right. Yes, most of these have claws. Consider us. We have a claw. We have a hand. We got fingernails, so we do have a claw, just like other organisms. Marine mammals do not have a claw. We have different way about talking about tail here. Homocercal. Dolphins and whales have a homocercal tail. All right. It's not as dominant a shape like a shark would be, but they have more of a homocircle, which means it's a little bit shorter, a little bit straighter. All right. Adaptations, big one is mammary glands, which means they can nurse their young, give milk to their babies. Some of these, like this killer whale up here, this orca, have sonar capabilities, which means they can detect things in the water around them based on giving out sound waves bouncing back and forth. And we've got a wide variety of different examples. We have whales, we have kangaroos, seals, mice, bears, humans, cows, pigs, sheep. The list can get very long. All right, so now we've talked about invertebrates and vertebrates, and we will start on these systems next time.